Kumama, welcome to course 3, lesson number 14. In this lesson, we are going to start talking about the modern self-determination movements of African liberation. Let me put it in the context. First, you have the Italians invade Ethiopia in 1935. They occupy for 5 years. In 1941, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie regains his throne. That's a pivotal moment in the history of African people and world history because Ethiopia was the last remaining free and independent sovereign nation left in Africa. And if the Ethiopians had lost that, there might not be an independent African nation as we know it today. That victory inspired African people all over the world. Okay, so that was 1941. Now, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie actually prophesied at the League of Nations. He said, "You have struck the match in Ethiopia, but it shall burn in Europe." Meaning, the failure to uphold the principles of the League of Nations, this international order to prevent war, because you showed yourself to be hypocritical and unworthy of that, because you allowed the small nation of Ethiopia to be invaded by an aggressor nation, he prophesied now that's going to come back to Europe. And that's exactly what happened. You had the European intertribal war mislabeled as World War II, okay? It wasn't a world war. This was a war between European powers and a few others. And they forced people to get involved into it. But as a result of that, you had colonized people who were forced to fight in this European intertribal war. And when they returned, they realized that they needed to be fighting for their own freedom and independence. And so this started in Kenya in the late 1940s, early 1950s with the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army, which was also later known as Mau Mau. And this is going to start the self-determination and African liberation movement. And right during that time, you also have in the United States a situation where they are going to use a Supreme Court decision as U.S. foreign policy. And this involves that school desegregation Brown versus Board of Education case. But it's not exactly what we've been taught. It was not a genuine effort to provide quality education to new African people. It was actually a foreign policy decision to prevent the United States from being embarrassed in international forums. So enjoy lesson 14. All right.